And welcome back to Late Night Lately, the late night show. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the Late Night Show podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Episode 41. Welcome back to the late night podcast for the show. I'm very tired, but I'm a professional, a consummate professional. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the heat, no matter how I feel. I don't know why. I just got a huge flash of the movie, what's it called? Mission Impossible Fallout in my head. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love that movie so much. But a scene just played in my head from that movie. I won't say which one. It was when Ethan Hunt was climbing up the helicopter to go stop the guy from the bomb. Oh God, I feel like Seth Meyers. Seth was sick all week, so he was dealing with a cold. I'm over here with a dry throat. I'm gonna lube this bad boy up. No monologue again. I know sometimes Jesus, I'm getting worked up. Sometimes I've done a monologue for this show, and I literally looked at the monologue, and I just thought I should have written something. Because this week would have been the week for the vice presidential debate. Speaking of which, Stephen Colbert went live after the vice presidential debate this week. But that's what happened this week in late night, and I have to go to the whole segment part. This week in late night, Stephen went live after the debate, and this is, again, just on par for what Stephen does. I felt like this one was a little bit more subdued or muted after the presidential debate, knowing that we probably won't get another presidential debate before the election. It was quite interesting to see Colbert tackle this debate. And I felt as though, I don't know if it's a totality of the audiences for this week. I don't know if it's people in general, just, letting things around the world in the news, mostly the president, this presidential race election. But it feels as though, and this is not a Colbert issue. This is a industry-wide issue in late night. Talk shows in general. But it's not like I'm sitting around watching the Drew Barrymore show or The View or anything like that. But it feels as though here's one more non sequitur. I do believe that the Drew Barrymore show is live to tape at like 8:00 in the morning. So I think at 7 a.m. they do the show. The only reason I think that is because A, it used to be like that, like when the show first launched, and B, I didn't know him personally, but I talked to, and I did not interview him. It was part of this thing in 2020 that I don't want to get into. But there was a writer that I met for that show, and I asked him, I was like, "Do you guys do that live today?" He was like, "Yeah, we do." And it's like 7:00 in the morning, live to tape, because I believe the show airs at 8. Because usually if I'm home and I'm cycling after the gym, and I'm watching CBS Mornings or CNN or something, and I scroll through at 8:00, I scroll through the list of shows and everything, and I see that. Anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to bring up about the Drew Barrymore show. It's back, and it's performing well for them. Anyway, the Late Show Live, like I was saying, I think across the industry of talk shows, late night shows, people are tired of hearing about this and talking about this, but it's definitely necessary and needed. There are still people who are undecided, people who don't want to vote at all, period. And we can't make those mistakes. So I think it's crucial that Colbert and everybody else in late night continues to talk. I mean, obviously they have to continue talking about it, but man, I just don't understand how you could be undecided or not want to vote at all. That's insane to me. As for Colbert's performance, again, I just think this audience is tired of this. And just watching Colbert deliver jokes to this live audience, it it's not like they weren't landing. The jokes weren't landing, but it's just I just felt like they didn't care as much compared to the craziness that came with Trump and Harris. Versus the general civility that was JD Couch Sleeper, Couch Effer, and Tim Walz. Michael Costa also went live with The Daily Show after the debate. And again, I think also I'm here's the thing about this Jon Stewart thing. I'm glad that they have somebody to anchor the show for Monday and get these ratings. And I'm glad the show is doing as well as it was during the guest host era. And seemingly just as well as it was doing with Trevor Noah. And I'm talking about versus, like ratings, not versus, ratings online as well as on television. I do think that people are putting, the audience of The Daily Show is putting such an emphasis on having Jon Stewart there that they're not giving everyone else a chance. Whenever Michael Costa, because it's going to be the same writers, and they are, and more or less the show has the same voice for every host that has been a part of the company. With the exception of like Lewis Black, and I don't think he's ever hosted the show. But what I'm saying is the only distinct voices will be from the guest hosts, like Leslie Jones, like Wanda Sykes, and John Leguizamo, and the main hosts, who at this point have been Craig Kilborn, Trevor Noah, and Jon Stewart, and for a brief amount of time, Hassan Minhaj. But overlooking everything, pretty much everybody who has delivered a show like The Daily Show, who has worked on The Daily Show, who's delivered a show like The Daily Show, has had the same style of voice. Desi Lydic, even though she has a feminist view, I wouldn't say a feminine view compared to Jordan Klepper, that they're going to be different, yes, but they're all going to deliver the same jokes from the same writers. Roy Wood Jr. did the same thing. Look at, and then let's just dive outside in the spinoffs. Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, she had more or less the same delivery. John Oliver has basically the same delivery. Hassan had the same delivery. The only person I feel like is different, Colbert had the same delivery when he went to Colbert Report. I feel as though it is Wyatt Cenac's show on HBO. What show was that? Wyatt Cenac HBO show. I forgot what that show was called. Problem Areas. Now that show was less of what The Daily Show is, and I would say he still had the lilt of what The Daily Show correspondents do, but I would say it's different enough. So with all that in the air, my biggest issue is with the audience again. The audience is not enjoying the jokes from Michael Costa, Ronnie Chang. If it's not Jon Stewart, it seems like they don't care. Like you should not be there to see Jon Stewart. You should not want his opinion on everything. There's also these other great voices that are so funny. Grace, can't pronounce her last name, Kludenschmidt, Dulce Sloan, Josh Johnson. Like there's so many great people there that work there that are so funny, and that's why they were hired. So why not give these people a chance? Why not let these people? I'm not saying the show is doing this. I'm saying the audience is not letting them. They're not they're laughing at the jokes, but they're not. If that was Jon Stewart, they'd be creaming their jeans. It's a clean show, I promise. Anyway, Michael did a great job. Jennifer Aniston also appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live to talk about some rumors about herself. She did confirm a lot of very strange things, but we all have strange things that have been said or done that we do. And Kimmel also had a great week with some guests. And, as much as I dislike him only hiring seemingly white people to work with him and his family members, who also happen to be white, it's just had a great week, great audience. Not great audience, great guests. Seth Meyers has been battling a cold all week, as I said before, and he was coughing up storms during interviews, and it was very interesting to see, because we've seen people sick before. I always think it's so funny to, not like haha funny, but like so funny to see like Fallon or Colbert, somebody's like obviously sick and they're just going through the show. Colin Kaepernick stopped by. Oh, and then for Seth, he had a lot of great people: Nate Bargatze on, Method Man, Mariska Hargitay, who's just so happy to be there. I don't think it's so interesting when I gotta stop saying it's interesting. When you see somebody who clearly does not go on talk shows a lot. Mariska was on the Today Show and she commented on Hoda Kotb leaving, and she said, "Hey, let me fill in anytime." I feel like Mariska and pretty much not a lot, not every single one, but all these actors in these 1 hour dramas that have been going on for decades, the Chicagos, the Dick Wolf universe, actually, just say Chicago, FBI, Law and Order, all that stuff. They don't get invited on talk shows a lot. Like if I could get anyone from those shows, I'm sure they would talk my ear off. I think it'd be great. So it's so great to see Mariska go on this show and just be happy and be exuberant to be there versus some other jerks who pop up on late night programming and they're just there to hawk whatever show or product they're talking about. Alicia Keys was on, Alex Moffat, Kate McKinnon, just a wonderful month. Colin Kaepernick appeared on the Tonight Show to promote his children's book, but on top of that, they also had Jelly Roll and Jack Antonoff and Luke Bryan, and just another banner week. A lot of men, mostly men. I'm just not realizing that. I didn't want to comment on this, but this is not like a big deal or anything. But apparently, there's a rumor going around. Again, I saw this on websites like Radar Online and things like that truly just don't have no way to back up these quotes or anything. But there's sources from inside the Tonight Show saying that Jimmy Fallon is afraid that the show is going to get canceled. And I'll tell you this, that's not going to happen. I don't think the Tonight Show is on any chopping block. And they're like, oh, it's all due to the ratings on the YouTube page and the ratings on the network. And like, come on, I mean, and they're saying like, oh, he's calling in favors for interviews and stuff, and like, dude, no one's gonna. I don't think any of that's believable. It's just these are the tides of late night. Late night is so much more difficult now than it was before. I mean, look at After Midnight, and I think that, again, I think this iteration of After Midnight is a good for what it is. To be a follow up to At Midnight, and it's a fantastic place, even though it does not have it has a quarter million subscribers. Every video is lucky to get over 30,000 views, but I do think that they're, by being so small and so agile, they're really opening it up, the late night profile for what a late night show can be. It doesn't have to be the Late Show. It doesn't have to be the Tonight Show. It can also look like a game show. It can look like just a chat show. It could be boring. It could be it can invite people like Luke Moniz and Anna Saragina and Mitra Johari, who just like up in the show. I like it when people do funny things and make the show and break the show, and break the audience. Although I will say this about the After Midnight audience: too much clapping, and they're unfunny. But like the audience is unfunny. They're like hooting and hollering. That's the worst part of Peloton, doing a Peloton class to me. It's just like hearing somebody, like while Matt Wilpers is talking, someone go, "Woo!" Like, come on, man. Just Just, come on, we're not at a concert. I'm going to quote myself from the Constitutionals talking about movie theaters. Pretend we're at White Church. Just quiet. All right, now let's go on and talk about. You know what's interesting? You know it's not interesting. Is me saying that for the fourth time. I usually start a clock, and I did not start the clock. Chum, 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 chum. One day I'll cover the real time with Bill Maher. Speaking of real time with Bill Maher, I saw an article. I read an article this morning that was talking about. I think it was a recap, not a recap, but it was a summation of David Spade went on Bill Maher's podcast, where what was it called? I don't know what that show's called, but they smoke. You're like the whole deal is like Bill Maher like rolls a blunt for you when you smoke that. Anyway, but David Spade went on and he's like, I don't want to smoke because I don't know what'll happen if I do. Like I don't want to talk too much or like hurt anybody's feelings. So he just drank a tequila and then Jay Farrow said that Jay Farrow was on the Dana Carvey David Spade podcast. I don't know what that is because I listened to it, but he said something along. He's like, that weed is strong, like because Bill Maher's rich, so he's probably got like this super strong weed, and they were just talking about that. Anyway, that's it. That's the only thing I had to talk about Bill Maher. Again, I don't watch his stuff, but this is what happens. This is why I don't watch Bill Maher. Because I say I don't like audiences. I really don't like his audience. I can deal with Colbert's audience. I can deal with Fallon's audience. I cannot deal with Bill Maher's audience. They're just these atheist frat boys, Redditors that just it's gross. But sometimes he'll have people on that I like, and I just want to see. Even he had Jiminy Glick on, and I don't watch that, but I'll go watch a clip, and then YouTube's algorithm, just like TikTok's algorithm, is so depraved that it'll send like, oh, you like watching this one Bill Maher clip? Then how about another Bill Maher clip? Okay. Oh, you like watching stand-up comedy? Well, why don't you watch this Bill Burr? Oh, you like watching Bill Burr? Here's Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson talking about anti-trans rights. Just like, Jesus. Come on, man. That's why I do not watch stand-up on period. But I also don't watch it on YouTube. Okay, now this comes from the Hollywood Reporter. Lacey Rose wrote it. SNL star Michael Che is prepping a late night show. We've talked about it before, and it seems like it's official. I was listening to Michael Che and Colin Jost on Howard Stern, and Che said it's exciting. He wants to do a late night show. It's the working title is "Don't Sleep with Michael Che." Mostly because, this is a quote from the article, he gets a kick out of the turn of phrase. They're still working it out. Che says, sometimes you just got to go motivate yourself to get on stage and try things, especially me because I'll come up with an idea and then I'll get bored and it dies in my imagination. Talking about things like that. Okay, but I love an idea of a new talk show. I don't think, like, you hear about how late night is dying. You hear about how, late night's over. It's still a fascinating place. It's still a good place to play. As I mentioned previously, After Midnight is doing it well with this game show format. I love a show that can just break definitions of what the show should be. That's why I think 30 Rock worked so well, because there aren't many shows like it. I said 30 Rock, and then I immediately went news radio, sports night. But look at sports night. Look at 30 Rock. They broke the conventions of what the half-hour comedy should be. It's set in the entertainment world. Okay, sports night takes a really dramatic turn at it. Was that a half-hour show? I don't remember. I own that show now. It was on sale for $10. On Vudu, Fandango at home, and I bought it a couple weeks ago. I'm so excited. Only an SD. It's not an HD. It has not been upgraded. I'm so pissed. But it was $10 for 2 seasons, 40 some odd episodes. Anyway, but that, like, 30 Rock, even going live, broke its conventions. I love it when shows can do different things. The Simpsons just aired the season premiere, and they called it the series finale, and it was so great. And you see, so interesting. I love The Simpsons. It's my favorite show of all time. I've seen all 700 plus episodes. I watch it literally every single day. There's not a day that go well. There's days that go by that I don't watch it, but I watch it every single day. And it's so it's so funny. It's so interesting. It's so funny to see people. Oh, The Simpsons is dead. This is stupid. And then like this episode there is like, I didn't know The Simpsons was still on. If SNL is in its 50th season, I could not, like, I knew it was in its 50th season 10 years ago. I was already thinking about that at 40. Like, damn it, 9 years ago. You would hear if South Park, SNL, Family Guy, if any of these shows ended, you would hear about it. It's ridiculous. Don't pretend like you're, whatever. Anyway, and then they're all of a sudden you see clips. Every clip from The Simpsons I see online is either super old or super new. Like I'll always see stuff from the current season being shopped around online, and I think it's so crazy how people just want to pretend like I don't even watch The Simpsons anymore. You're sharing a clip from whatever. Doesn't matter. The show Don't Sleep on Michael Che. Don't Sleep with Michael Che, rather, is going to be more along the lines of John Mulaney's Everybody Loves L.A., which was a fantastic show in its own right, and I'm so glad. And if they don't bring it back, I'm glad. And if they do, then I hopefully they can recapture that same magic. The highlights from the first test show, included a seemingly unplanned dating game style panel featuring a few audience members and some fake ad reads that Che layered throughout. They had a makeshift desk, a couch, interviews with guests, but the interviews were, quote, freewheeling and unstructured. Che's already talked about this with Lorne Michaels, but he's not really shopping it around. He just wants to do it for comedy fans for now. I just think a different type of late night show. I've talked about this before, but Guy Branum's talk show, The Game Show, was so fun and engaging. Let's do more of that. And I understand in this world of making money for TV products for television, just involves having a lot of viewers and having a reason for advertisers to buy time on that show, and I'm saying this for TV, linear broadcast, cable, streaming. I'm not talking about YouTube. I'm not talking about TikTok. I'm talking about actual television platforms. So when you have a show, when you take a chance on a show like this, or a talk show, The Game Show, or an After Midnight, you have to really prove that there's something that can come out of it. And I think now for advertisers and for the people that they pay, which is the execs for these networks, I think that comes. I think right now they're focused on just being safe, making safe bets. You put out the Toy Story 4 so you can pay for the I was about to say the Wild Robot. You put out the Shrek 4 so you can pay for the Wild Robot. You make Kung Fu Panda 4 so you can have a movie like the Wild Robot. And then the Wild Robot 2 will pay for the next original plan or next movie like that. And it's a little bit muddled, but we got there. But Michael Che's, even his sketch show on HBO was great. That's probably done. But it was great because it felt like the Chappelle Show, and then they built on top of that by being a lot more dark and a lot more honest to what the world is now. Not that I'm saying that Chappelle Show wouldn't relate to what the world is now, but this is more an updated version. Same thing with Key and Peele. Key and Peele, hey, let's start out doing a Chappelle Show style thing. Sketch interlude. Let's get rid of that, and let's tell a season-long story arc in the final season of us driving down a highway. These things can work, and they can be different. Why does Weekend Update do so well, And yes, it is because it is just straight jokes and character work. But it comes in the middle of this, what feels like a variety show. I feel like this SNL is a variety show, a variety style show, because it's got sketches, it's got songs. Sometimes it gets serious. I think Rudy Giuliani, the first episode back from 9/11, they were like, "Can we be funny now?" He was on stage, Lorne Michaels, the cast, firefighters, police officers, first responders, all of them. I just feel that these shows can break convention, and I would love to see that happen more often. But barring what the advertisers, what network execs would want, in terms of money and viewership and all that stuff, there should also be a reason to break convention. And if Don't Sleep with Michael Che is loose, just like John Mulaney's show, let it be loose, let it be fun. Not everything has to, have a rhyme or reason. But, that's why we have stage managers, to keep us on track, and producers keep us on track. Anyway, I know I've talked about Don't Sleep with Michael Che before, but this is just a nice, cohesive, tiny little thing that my dear friend Lacey Rose wrote. My best buddy Lacey Rose. Have I ever met her? No. Does she know who I am? No. Listen, if you like what you heard, Jesus, Chad. If you like what you heard here, head to the website cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people. Sometimes. If you want to see a video version of this show, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see video versions of the interviews I do, as well as the other podcasts, LinkedIn Logs, which is the jobs podcast, and the Constitutionals, which is the entertainment business news show. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at cpluscomedy. Me on those platforms at Chad Black White. Thank you so much. Bye.